I always had a feeling about Daniel, my son-in-law. He was charming, polite, and always knew the right words to say, but something about him never sat right with me. Maybe it was how he avoided deep conversations or the way he looked at his phone when he thought no one was watching. I never voiced my concerns to my daughter, Lisa. She loved him, and that was all that mattered. Or so I thought. One evening, as I sat in the living room, Lisa casually mentioned that Daniel was heading out for a guy's night with his friends. She laughed, saying he rarely got time to unwind. I forced a smile, but my gut twisted. Guy's night? I had never heard him talk about his friends before, at least not in a way that seemed meaningful. Something in Lisa's voice felt rehearsed, like she was repeating what she had been told rather than something she truly believed. But she didn't question it, so I had no reason to either. Yet, as Daniel kissed her goodbye and walked out the door, a cold feeling settled in my chest. I tried to shake it off, convincing myself that I was overthinking things. But then, memories started flooding back, small, seemingly insignificant moments that now felt like missing pieces to a larger puzzle. The late-night calls he would quickly silence, the sudden change in cologne when he left the house, the way he sometimes seemed emotionally distant even when physically present. I had ignored it all before, chalking it up to work stress or simple personality quirks. But tonight it felt different. As the evening dragged on, Lisa went to bed early, exhausted from a long day. I remained on the couch, flipping through channels, but my mind wasn't on the television. A voice in my head kept whispering, "Something isn't right." I checked the time, 11:45 p.m. If it was truly a guy's night, they'd be wrapping up soon. But what if they weren't? Before I knew it, I was grabbing my coat. I told myself I was just going for a drive, nothing more. But deep down, I knew I was looking for something, answers, confirmation, or maybe just reassurance that my suspicions were misplaced. As I drove, I realized I had no idea where Daniel had gone. I hesitated before calling Lisa. Keeping my voice light, I asked where he and his friends were hanging out. She answered without hesitation. A bar downtown. I reached the bar within minutes, my heart pounding. The parking lot was half full, but one car was missing, Daniel's. That cold feeling in my chest deepened. If he wasn't here, then where was he? And more importantly, why had he lied? I tightened my grip on the steering wheel, realizing I was about to step into something far bigger than I had anticipated. I sat in my car for a moment, trying to process what I had just discovered. Daniel wasn't at the bar like he told Lisa. That meant one of two things. Either he had changed plans last minute, or he had never intended to go there in the first place. My gut told me it was the latter. A few blocks away, I spotted his car parked outside an upscale house. Music drifted from inside, a low hum of laughter and chatter filtering through the windows. This wasn't some quiet gathering of old friends, it was a full-blown party. And Daniel was right in the middle of it. I stayed in my car, watching. People came and went, mostly young women in elegant dresses, their laughter echoing in the night air. Then the front door opened and there he was. He stepped outside with a drink in his hand, smiling, looking nothing like the devoted husband Lisa believed him to be. But what made my breath catch wasn't just seeing him there, it was the woman by his side. She was young, stunning, and far too comfortable with him. She whispered something in his ear, and he laughed, touching her arm as if it was the most natural thing in the world. He wasn't acting like a married man out with friends. He was acting like a man with no attachments, no commitments. I clenched my fists, feeling a mix of anger and disbelief. Had he been doing this all along? How many times had Lisa trusted him, never questioning where he was or who he was with? And how many times had he used that trust to do exactly this? I grabbed my phone, my hands trembling as I snapped a few photos. Not because I wanted proof for myself, I already knew what I was seeing. But Lisa, she would need to see it to believe it. A part of me wanted to march inside, confront him right there in front of everyone, make a scene, expose him for the liar he was. But I stopped myself. This wasn't my moment to take. It was Lisa's. She deserved to be the one to decide what happened next. Instead, I waited, watching as he laughed, flirted, and indulged in a life that had no place for my daughter in it. After an hour, he finally got in his car and drove off, completely unaware that his secret was no longer safe. I started my car and headed home, my mind racing. How would I tell Lisa? How could I? This wasn't just about one night. This was about trust, love, and the betrayal of everything she believed in. And no matter how much I wanted to protect her, I knew the truth was about to shatter her world. I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Daniel's face, his easy smile, the way he touched that woman's arm like it was second nature. My mind kept replaying it, the weight of the truth pressing down on me. By morning, I had made up my mind. Lisa had to know. At breakfast, Daniel walked into the kitchen like nothing had happened. He kissed Lisa on the cheek, poured himself coffee, and sat down at the table. His casual demeanor made my stomach turn. How easily he lied. How effortlessly he played the role of a loving husband. I studied him, waiting for an opening. "How was your night?" I asked. He looked up, his expression smooth and unreadable. "Great. Just a few drinks with the guys. Nothing crazy." A bold lie, spoken with the confidence of a man who had done this before. I felt my hands tighten around my coffee cup, but I forced myself to stay calm. Lisa didn't even look up from her plate. She trusted him completely. I reached for my phone, my heart pounding. "That's interesting," I said, pulling up the photos. "Because I don't remember seeing you at the bar." The color drained from his face. His hand tightened around his mug, and for the first time, there was a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. "What are you talking about?" I turned the phone toward Lisa, letting her see the images for herself. The woman. The way he held her. The way he laughed like he had no care in the world. She stared at the screen, silent at first. Then, slowly, she looked up at Daniel. "Tell me this isn't what it looks like," she whispered. Daniel swallowed, his eyes darting between us. "It's not, it's just a misunderstanding." Lisa's voice trembled. "A misunderstanding? You told me you were with your friends. You never mentioned this. So tell me, Daniel, why does this look like anything but a guy's night?" He ran a hand through his hair, struggling to come up with an answer. "I was going to tell you," he said weakly. "It was just a party. Nothing happened." Lisa let out a shaky breath, pushing the phone away like she couldn't stand to look at it anymore. The betrayal was written all over her face. She wanted to believe him, to hold on to the life she thought she had. But the evidence was right in front of her. I expected her to scream, to throw something, to demand answers. Instead, she just sat there, tears pooling in her eyes. "I don't know who you are anymore," she said softly. Daniel reached for her, but she pulled away, her body stiff with heartbreak. "Lisa, don't." Her voice was barely a whisper. "I need time." Silence filled the room, heavy and suffocating. For the first time, Daniel had nothing to say. And I knew, no matter what happened next, things would never be the same again. Lisa barely spoke for the rest of the day. She moved through the house like a ghost, lost in thoughts she couldn't voice. Daniel tried to act normal, hovering near her, waiting for a chance to explain. But every time he opened his mouth, she turned away. By evening, he couldn't take the silence anymore. "Lisa, please," he said. "Can we talk?" She looked at him, her eyes hollow. "Talk about what?" "How you've been lying to me. How you held another woman like I don't exist." He ran a hand over his face, frustration creeping into his voice. "It wasn't like that. It was just a mistake." "A mistake?" she repeated. "So tell me, Daniel, was last night the first time? Or just the first time you got caught?" His silence answered for him. Her breath hitched, and I saw the last bit of hope drain from her face. She had wanted to believe it was a one-time thing, an error in judgment. But deep down, she knew. This wasn't an accident. It was a pattern. She turned to me, her voice barely above a whisper. "Did you know?" I hesitated. I suspected. But I didn't want to hurt you unless I was sure. Tears welled in her eyes, but she blinked them away. "I should have seen it. I should have noticed the signs." Daniel reached for her hand, desperate. I love you, Lisa. You mean everything to me. She pulled back as if his touch burned her. You don't betray the people you love. A heavy silence followed. I watched as she wrestled with the pain, the anger, the love that still lingered despite everything. Finally, she exhaled shakily. I need space. Daniel's face fell. Lisa. Leave, she cut in. Tonight. His shoulders slumped, defeat settling in. He looked at me as if I could help, but I only stared back. This wasn't my decision. It was hers. After a long pause, he nodded. Without another word, he walked upstairs, packing a bag. When he returned, Lisa didn't look at him. She kept her gaze on the floor as he stepped out the door. The silence that followed was unbearable. I placed a hand on her shoulder, but she didn't move. You did the right thing, I said softly. She let out a shaky breath. Then why does it feel like I just lost everything? I didn't have an answer. Love didn't disappear overnight, no matter how deep the betrayal. It lingered, leaving behind memories that hurt more than the lies. As the night stretched on, Lisa sat by the window, staring at the empty driveway. And I knew this wasn't the end of her pain, just the beginning of learning how to live with it.